But since I went biodynamic, I've had very few problems with disease in my farm. I have a special location also, you saw that. I don't have any chemical neighbors. I'm the only guy there doing this. There's no other coffee growers especially next to my property. I'm surrounded by forests. So I think that gives me a kind of isolation against other guys. The only guy that's next to me is the Royal Norwegian family with a little coffee project there. So, and that's it. So they're also organic. So maybe that's also part of the whole thing. So when you go down to where the other guys are in Vila Nova, for example, then it's probably very difficult to be organic in the middle of a chemical coffee plantation. I don't know. I don't have the experience. I can't comment on that 100%.
All right. Any other questions? Oh.
Just a comment on the fact that you are the only one there, that you cannot compare to other farms.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a farm twice in Guatemala where they're not biodynamical, but she uses some of the principles with the horns and the minerals, and she follows the calendar a bit.
Great.
She has neighbors, and you see them like 10 meters from each other, and the neighbors' plants, they are suffering. So there can be a significant difference even though you're close to each other.
Yeah, well, I saw that in wine once. I'm not sure about coffee because I don't have the experience that you have. So maybe that's true. I saw that in wine very much, like really next door.
Exactly.
And
so
completely different.
Yeah, some implications.
Wow, that's good to know.
That's true. And then one question, following the biodynamical calendar with harvest.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It's good you reminded me because I forgot about talking about this a little bit.
Yes.
This is a calendar that we follow that gives us all the cycles of the planets, of the moon, of the zodiacal cycle, if you want to. It will give you the correct days to treat accordingly the plantation, to pick, to sow, to grow, to do the seedling, everything. So we follow this.
But so my question rises with the changes you see in the climate, in the raining patterns, and so on. I mean, how much flexibility does that system, that calendar, give you? I mean, do you have to plant? Do you have to harvest?
Not really.
Like,
it just tells you that this is a good time to do it. So it's up to you to do it or not. So and actually it's very flexible calendar.
Okay, so your certification won't disappear if you do not follow the calendar?
No, not at all.
Okay, it's all about the physical.
Certification wants to know if I'm using the preparations, if I'm treating the compost properly. Obviously, if I'm not using any chemicals, I have in my farm every year they come in and they check the soil, they check the foliar. So they do foliar analysis, soil analysis to make sure I'm not using anything that's not allowed. And that will show in those analyses. So that's what they're there for. And mostly because of the buyers that want to have the certification. And a lot of people, like you said, they use biodynamic practices. For example, one of the farmers that Isabella buys from, he does that without knowing. He doesn't understand what biodynamics mean, doesn't understand certification, but he's planting coffee, he's picking in the correct moon, he's doing it properly. I'm talking to him, it's like this is the way the Incas used to do agriculture. So it's connected to energy. It's not connected to this calendar or whatever certification. This is the way the old people of the earth used to do agriculture. So how would they feed 1 million people in this town of Mexico, city of Mexico, before Cortez arrived? There was 1 million people living there. No alphabet, no numerical system. How do you feed these people? So the big civilizations of the world were the ones that were able to feed their people, not the big fighters or the big warriors, the big conquerors. I mean, the soldier doesn't fight without food. So after Cortez arrived, he brought in all the maladies from the First World. In, I think, 10 years, they had like 200,000 people living there. But they killed all the population. Anyway, go ahead, please.
Last question.
That's another story.
Do you also need to have the organic certification?
Yes. You are required to have organic, if you want the certification.
I know that, but once you've achieved the biodynamical certification, do you also need OCAE or whoever checks the organic things in Brazil? Do you need them to check as well? So you have like twice you're checked?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's more cost for us, for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Any other hands? Any other questions? Can be anything. No? Yeah?
single variety, or are they more mixed?
Everything is single variety in my farm.
Okay.
So we picked 19 different areas, and all of those are single varietals.
Okay. How big are the fields?
Sorry?
How big are these?
Now we're going to 75 hectares of coffee. The farm is 180 hectares. We are 1/3 preservation, 1/3 sustainable tree harvest, and 1/3 coffee with forest inside. So it's 180 hectare forest with coffee in there. That's the size of my farm. So like you said, I'm not a big guy in Brazil, but I'm also not a small grower anymore. So I began really small. I began with 5 hectares of coffee 15 years ago. And I've been planting coffee every year since. And always using what I learned from you guys, from demand from the people that I sell coffee to, and using this information, trying to, find the solutions and find the correct coffee types for the region also, which is important. The Yapar you said, for example, is a coffee designed for high altitude, cold, humid weather. That's what we have in Pedro Azul. And that gives us a different quality of drink. We're going to taste one of those here today.
Seeing the results in Guatemala that I saw, and your personal results on the farm, and I know there are more biodynamical farms in Brazil, is there any interest from universities to see how come these places might be or are less affected by diseases, by bugs and so on? Or is it just they pay no attention to that?
Unfortunately, all the agricultural schools in the world teach you how to apply chemicals. They don't teach you another solution. That's really, really bad. So that's a very, very delicate situation, because the industry is financing a lot of those universities and schools. So that's really sad. So if you follow this path, you have to be kind of a loner and look for people that are doing the same thing. Like I told you in the beginning, I followed the wine guys. I saw the results in the wine, and I said, well, I should do this. And I was inspired by a visit from Mr. Jolie at my farm, and he said, you have to do this because you're already there. And like the other guy, I didn't know what I was doing properly, and then I finally understood what I was doing, and I just followed that path. But that's a really bad situation. We have very little research about our work in terms of the effect of biodynamics on the plants, because it's not in the interest of the big industry to do this at all. So there's no funding for us. We try to understand this the best we can and use different techniques of looking at this. So in the press material that I'm going to leave here for you, there's a little bit of detail about that. There's a little research going on, but it's very, very little, unfortunately.
Yes, you more or less answered already to the question now. Do you have a team of agronomes around you that helps you out, or how do you make decisions?
Well, I have a person that follows me since the beginning. She's a woman that's she's the founder of the Biodynamic Association in Brazil. She's the one that designed this brochure. This is designed for growers. It's very simple to understand. I bought some for you guys. This is the kind of work we're trying to spread around. And yes, she's been following me since the beginning. I'm fortunate to have this person working with me. And we are kind of a model. There's not many biodynamic growers in Brazil. There's a few guys in Bahia, a few people in São Paulo. There's 2 guys in Minas. It's very small in Brazil, in coffee. There's other products that are more, they use biodynamics more. But coffee, we're about 10 or 15 guys only. That's it.
You're trying a bit of different processings. Is it one that you really more recommend, or that you wish to do more to not compromise on the earth?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
With the processing, I know that you're doing some honeys, and this year you're doing some naturals for the first time.
Yes.
Right. Is it one that you find more healthy to the environment, or?
Well, not really. Processing is a challenge for us in the Espírito Santo because of the high level of humidity, so everything has to be covered, like you saw. Like the Isabella's people do also the same thing. We had the chance to make a natural this year because of one reason. We had 35% humidity for 3 months. So you guys read about it. We had no rain in Brazil at all. So this is very, very rare in my region. And to do properly natural coffee, you need this low humidity in the air. I don't use mechanical drying. So I could do it mechanically, but it detracts from what I think gives coffee quality, which is a slow drying procedure. And we were able to do this because of the conditions. So I've never thought I was going to do a natural coffee in my life. So there's good things about weather change also. It's not all bad. We have to adapt. There's no other way. You know, you can't look at this as oh no, I'm lost. That's it. I'm done. No, you have to be able to improvise, and you have to be able to be creative and change things around in your own environment. This is what we're trying to do. So processing definitely a challenge, but yeah, we do. Also, there's a wave of natural coffee in the world. You agree with me, Tim? Yeah. I'm like you. I don't really like that coffee anyway. I like my dry depulp coffee much better. But there you go. We have to follow the trends a little bit.
So can I ask one last question
Please.
about that? Like, as a raw coffee buyer, what do you wish us to do to take more responsibilities? I mean, it's many of us who may not, like,
Okay.
it doesn't always have to be a certification, in the best of worlds, if it's working. But what would you like? Yeah, how can we help to push those questions?
I think the first thing you guys have to realize is the challenges that we're facing, all of us, together. We have to work more together than we are. Less middlemen. I mean, the coffee chain, as you guys know, I don't know if you know about this, but 83% of the money involved in the coffee chain is in the hands, not of the coffee grower. We get 17% of the money involved in coffee. So that's a very bad equation. And that's killing coffee growers all over the world. It's making it harder and harder for us to grow coffee. I'm an exception to the rule because I understand the market forces. I come from a business background, so it's different from a regular coffee grower. So I actually have very, very good control in my costs in my farm, which is very rare. Another thing I think you guys have to realize is the more power to the grower, the better the industry will grow. So we have to give this back to the grower. And Isabella's doing this with her small growers in the Espírito Santo. These guys have to learn how to taste coffee. They have to understand what they're doing. And then we cut these people that are in the middle that are just like speed bumps, in my opinion. There's no value added. Obviously, logistics are necessary. I understand that. Brazil has very good logistics, probably the best country in the world for that. Now we have solutions for everything. If you buy coffee anywhere in Brazil, it will get shipped properly. It's not the case in many producing countries. I'd like you guys to understand Brazil as a country that can produce any style of coffee. So we can do dry, we can do the pulp, we can do wash, we can do natural, everything. That's the only country in the world that can do this. Brazil has these secret terroirs. Like you just saw, Espírito Santo is a compared to the Burgundy of coffee. We have the small family production, high quality stuff that's being properly treated with the correct post-harvest now. And give us a chance to show what we can do. But we will deliver. That's it. Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is it, I mean, I think a lot of people in this room, including myself, we just buy on the taste. We don't think about, organic, or it's just, if we can find this exceptional coffee, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, we're just looking for that. People ask maybe, oh, can you get some organics? What do you mean organic?